Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 294 of my modded Factorio playthrough. On this episode, we are going to finish up with titanium and then get started on pink and purple science. Enjoy! Okay, now that most of that train stuff is taken care of, we're pretty close to basically making anything we might want to have. Probably the other two things are titanium chests. We don't use brass chests for that much, I guess, but we do use them, and you never know. Having a bigger chest might be useful, so we might as well upgrade them. And the better repair packs. I'm not sure how valuable that would be, especially because there's going to be all these repair packs in the wild, and in fact, we probably can find exactly how many of these are flying around. Repair pack 3. So what is that? Interesting, so it does actually tell you, so I selected the wrong thing. Repair pack 3. Oh my goodness. Well, they're being carried by robots, they're in robo chests. Jeez. Some of these are insane. 923 in this one. Although I guess it's counting the whole stack. Yeah. Well, I'm not entirely sure how you put repair packs in the wilds but don't have too many of them. Because you want them to be close to where they're needed. You don't want like 10 repair packs to be in your factory and robots have to travel all the way across them just to pick one up. But on the other hand, you don't want them constantly picking up repair packs from where they're being made. Let's see if we can do something here with the logistics zone interface. Let's see if that will include the repair packs that are inside of robo chests. So what kind of signal do we get? Well, that does give us basically everything. Okay. Let's see here. How about we use a combinator? Actually, no, let's do the arithmetic. Because we want to pull just the repair pack signal out. So if we do this, we can say the input is repair pack times 1. The output is repair packs. What do we get? Is that gonna work? It does, and we have 15,000 repair packs. And here they are, grabbing more. Why? Seems like having like 1,000 of them in the wild is more than enough. Let's see here, what can we do? If we do a requester chest and request repair packs, literally all of them, let's go with 20,000. Will it grab them from places? Oh yeah, it is. It's bringing them here. Okay, well we can shut that down because we're going to make different repair pack types. But at least this will get them out of the network. Well, if that's the case, we can kind of pick all this up and put a requester chest in here. Right there. We want repair packs. We want every single one in the entire factory. And then let's get rid of them. So there's probably like robots from all over the place that are going to be arriving here. Alright, well we need to make the better packs. And they are made with basic stuff. Bearings, gears, plates, and the boards. We might be able to make them somewhere else and not here. So let's get rid of all of this. We still need to keep all of these here for that, so it's probably all that we would remove with this. Just leave the rest of it there. Oh yeah, robots are grabbing those packs from all over the place. Okay, well, we need to make some more. Doesn't really matter where, but we do need the plates. How many things actually use titanium plates? Okay, as it turns out, quite a lot. Quite a lot. So I think it's acceptable to send some more down here. There we go, now we'll have them. And we can just put something in here. Making our new packs. And filling it up to 50 is fine. Although, we probably want to do it completely differently here. So let's use our interface. I probably don't actually need to use that combinator at all. Just send every single signal on here. Bounce it over, except instead of everything, we're going to say repair packs are less than 1,000. So if there's less than 1,000 repair packs on the network, it'll work. But at the same time, it might make a little more sense if we do use that combinator, just so we can see what the signal is. This will prevent too many of these things being on the network at a time. So if there's less than 1,000, it will put them in here, but after we hit 1,000, it will stop. So is this a crazy request here? No. Meanwhile, our character can be adjusted as well, where we want no repair packs of those type, but we do want the purples. And our repair pack still being delivered here? Oh yes. There might be a little hiccup in the system as robots have to grab their new repair packs. So hopefully now we won't have 15,000 of them on the network. Because that was just nuts. Oh. Except that's the wrong one. There we go. And that's the amount. Well, I guess I said it wrong both times. So we still have 7.2, but we want this to be purple both sides. There we go. Now it's working. Looks like this thing is actually kind of fast. So there we go. Numbers going up. Wonder if it counts it as being in the network if it's on a robot. You think that it would. But even then, if it goes slightly above 1,000, well then so be it. I just don't want it to be 15,000. Are there any other repair packs flying around out here? No red ones. No yellows. And we're still working our way through those, but... Oh, hey, it says character 2. But we're working on these ones. And it stops. Interesting, so... There's only 500 of them in the chest, but it says 1,000 on this signal. Is that correct? Well, let's factory search for them. Doesn't seem right. Seems like it multiplied it by 2. Because there's only 500 there, so... How did that work? Oh, I see. I think I know what I was doing. I had it connected to this chest, so it was doubling the number, because it was including the chest count and the combinator's count, and the logistics zone took the number from the chest. So I think it was just me being a dummy, because now the number is right, everything is right with the world, it's going to count perfectly. Well, another thing we can make use of is our chest here, because we want to upgrade to titanium, so let's just search brass and hit product, and then that will tell us exactly which machine is making it. And it's down there. So that was just pulling it off of there because it was easy. So does that mean we just pull it off of over here because it's easy? Even though it would be kind of weird? Probably. Okay then. So we'll hit our titanium chest. Modules. Don't know how many of these we want to make, but it probably doesn't matter. Storage chests. Titanium. If it's under 50. Probably don't need to have them completely maxed out like this, but whatever. It's working. Okay, we've got just about everything done in the research tree that we can do with blue science. We still got some stuff left over, but these are all kind of their own little special things, like, well, with the new biter stuff, because that's how you would get to the final tier of crystals and then the final tier of modules, but you see that requires more science anyway, so there's kind of no point in getting started on that. So with that, we can now do our pink and purple science, and since we have the resources for both of them, we might as well do them at the same time. And the pink research goes into all of the logistics type of things, like finally getting access to buffer chests, better research, better bots, all that kind of thing. Trains, but also interestingly, logistics 4. So if we got pink research, we would just need to add titanium to our blue belts, and then at the snap of the finger, suddenly we now have purple belts. So how long were we on red belts and then kind of just get blue and then just skip them so quickly? Seems like those are placed kind of quick, but yeah. Pink science would be great. So it has a flying cargo kit and combined memory cells. The cargo kit is the universal transport engine and automated storage. That engine is just a couple of random components that we have and some lubricant. And the storage is kind of the same thing. Just a lot of random stuff. And interesting, I was like, white circuits here and green circuits there. But good thing we have the green circuits ready to go, because this is going to be a big dump of them. And it also needs the combined memory cells, which is our first use of gold with the gilded copper wire. And also some integrated electronics. I'm not sure if we'd want to build those electronics on the science bus, because we're already making a bunch of them on the circuits bus. So maybe we can just kind of shoot some over. We'll have to see. But that's pink. And purple science goes into increasing the various technologies that we have, all the standard production technologies. But the purple packs are the QL bioprocessor and then the water-cooled overclocked neural computer case. Say that 5 times fast. And a yellow chemical plant for reasons. The bioprocessor is just green circuits. Red wire, which is an interesting application because that's actual red wire, not normal wire. So when we actually run this, we're going to need rubber. So it's a good thing that we have been making rubber naturally all of this time and have 6.4K, because suddenly we're going to need a ton of it. Luckily, you make a lot of wire with very little rubber. But nonetheless, we're going to be needing a lot of it. But then there's this activated biopaste, which is weird because it's not on this list here, but it is in the game. I think it just unlocked at a much earlier point for reasons. So if you look at that, it's biosilicate extract. And then that extract are all of these kind of low-level components. But I think the main element here is the monosilicon. That this is another thing that's kind of broken on Science Cost Tweaker, where the monosilicon was, it was called something else. But I think it was related to the mod that makes everything look kind of pretty. Let me look it up here just so I'm saying the right things here. It's the artisanal reskins. That it just did something, I guess, just to change the appearance of the item, or maybe it renamed it or something, and it just kind of broke it. But nonetheless, that is something that I had to change just to make that work. So you throw all that together to get the bioprocessor, and then we need the water-cooled overclocked neural computer case, which is a big, big dump of gold and other things, and then we need the protective chip enclosure, which in itself is a big dump of items. So you can see how the higher you go, and Science Cost Tweaker really starts sucking up the resources. But it is what it is. That's kind of the whole point, is that it makes it harder. So we'll research that, and I guess it will research pretty quickly. Looks like we're running pretty low on stone here. That I upgraded a couple of components of our plastic setup here just to try to max it out. But at the same time, because we've been making so much plastic, we have been using all our stone. Plus with making all this concrete too. But I guess we don't have to wait for this to research. That we can plan it in helmod. Although maybe I should take the opportunity now to kind of clear some of this list up. I don't think we've referred to this stuff in a very long time, so we can just kind of go through it now. And hey, the research finished while I was clicking away. Good enough. Alright, new line. Time for that science. We talked about pink first, so I guess we'll just calculate it. And I believe we were working on the idea of 3 of these a second, so let's see if this is even remotely possible. Of course, we want to use productivity modules. So let's go through the cargo kit, which needs the engine. And do these use productivities? No. But, man, those are compact. So the resources there look pretty good, so we will grab the memory cell next. And we'll use the electronics assembler, and it's, wow, plenty fast, so we only need 1 of all of these. And that basically does it. So now we kind of want to look at the resources and look to see what we already have available. Because this isn't the biggest of buses here, so we don't want to throw a bunch of resources on here. It looks like we would need to put another train in there. But things like aluminum and cobalt would be fine. And with cobalt, like, we don't need to send gear wheels down. We probably could just send the cobalt. I guess it depends if cobalt is needed for anything else, because if it isn't, we could just send the gears down instead and just save space. Ball bearings, we are making those, but that's kind of a terrible thing to bus. You know, circuits and all that other stuff is fine. But looks like we still need this automated storage, though. So grab that and throw it in there. And that is another cobalt thing, which means we probably would want to send the cobalt down. I actually want to come out and do this on the side here. So come in here, hit that to get the individual pieces, and come back out just so they can be calculated. And we would need the storage, just all the parts, and I kind of want to separate it just so we can like figure out plate choppers and things. Come back out, do the memory cells. And that's not really that much gold, I imagine. But we can calculate it since we're here. And it totally isn't. Does that use productivities for this? Nope. But it's not very much. Then the question is these integrated electronics here. We would need a silicon wafer plastic bar. So then we're like, do we have these? Would it be difficult to send them down here? And we're probably fine to just send it up here, even though we're not using silicon right now. That this other one does use monosilicon, so we would have to send it down anyway. So we would have silicon on hand to make these. So that means we probably should. I'm just surprised at how small all these things are. And hey, we can use some productivities there. Insulated wire, is that a productivity item? It is. We probably do want to make it here because rubber is needed in such small quantities that we could do it. So we want to go through this and kind of break all this down. And because they're separated by component, that will make it a little easier. Where with these, it needs to make the gears. It needs to make the balls. We'd basically just break it down to its individual components, and then when we have it at the individual components, we could potentially put a plate chopper in there, but I don't know. Do we need a plate chopper for aluminum? No, because it's already included because of the way that the bus was designed. So that finishes those. Over here, do the same thing. Do the balls. It's interesting how they use both ball colors and both bearing colors as well. And of course we would send in the electronics from somewhere else. And let's see down here. Let's see, let's close this off first. Let's back it out. We would want to make the circuits, which use productivities. And they need silicon, which use productivities. And then kind of go through here. The copper wire, but it doesn't use the productivities, so sadness. We probably have coils being sent here, although actually I don't think we would have solder because we just wouldn't use it. That is one disadvantage to doing it this way, but that's like one extra resource So instead of having one belt filled with electronics, we might as well use a solder, because the solder might go towards something else as well. So this comes in coil form. We want to chop it. We want the productivities. Let's chop the copper cables. Productivities, and just all of these ones makes me think that this actually isn't going to be that difficult. I was thinking this would be like a huge setup, but all these numbers are actually rather small. So we have that, and the cool thing is the rubber is actually being made here, so it doesn't have to travel very far. Hopefully it holds up. And making the tinned wire coils over here are pretty desirable because we still have that overload of those coils, so that will be something to use them up. Because it seems like we've been using the tinned wire very slowly. Yeah, let's drop in here. Oh, we're definitely going to need a new train because we've actually used every slot. And look at the resources. That's good. There's no more base resources, so that one's good. That one's good. So when we walk it all the way out, are these all things we ship or could ship? Yeah, seems like it. So in the end of the day, we would make 3 signs a second and our input would be this. Do the numbers make sense? Yeah, they're actually pretty small. And with cobalt steel and titanium, we're going to make that fairly slowly. But once we upgrade our sorters to have the direct sorting, that won't be a problem. So the only thing on here which might be a lot is the white circuits. And I'm not sure if that was like a 10 or a 30 per second thing, but we can always check it. Where are they? Over here. And we've got 2 whole setups, so I guess I'll just select all of it and see what happens. So it's about 20, so using 3 of that really isn't that big a deal. Great. I'm pleasantly surprised that when you looked at that, there was like so many things that went into it, but it's just not that much. It could also be the absolute massive power that is productivity modules. So a lot of these machines are just 1 or maybe 2 or 3 machines, and the only big part is the 26 machines for the science, and I imagine that compares favorably to pretty much everything that's here. Like if you look at our military science, that's already 20 machines, so it's 26 machines is nothing at this stage. All right, well, there's the one. I kind of want to calculate these separately because they are 2 separate setups, technically. So we'll come in here. Let's do the purple now. Any productivities? Yes, we'll use them. We want to have 3 per second. Same number. We're already making these chemical plants elsewhere. It would be kind of annoying to have to send them down here, especially at 1 a second, because it would basically be robots. So we might actually just want to make these here, rather than have robots flying 1 every second over. But nonetheless, we'll walk it down. So we need the bioprocessor. No productivities. But can use speed. And actually, let me double check that I put speeds in here. I didn't put every module in here. I just wanted to make it kind of simple. But there's really no reason to put all the extra modules in because I know just fill up the empty slots with efficiencies and pollution cleaning. So there's no point in kind of putting those in here. The main thing is if any numbers are higher than 1 and it doesn't have speed modules, then it gets them. But they're all lower. So we have this. And since can't take productivities, we can smash speeds in there and all. Come on. We need 2 machines there. Probably doesn't use productivities because then it would create all these byproducts, which would basically generate a bunch of ore. And I was kind of wondering if that's how this setup was because we kept generating so much of it every time a train came in and like overloaded our bus with materials. But it looks like that's not the case because they can't use the productivities. But the input is those electronic logic boards, which is no big deal. So let's do the biopaste. Interesting, that's made in a filtering furnace? Really? You cook it? Okay. If you say so, game. Well, at this point, we can use electronic furnaces, so why not? And which one do we even have available? It's been so long. Looks like just a standard one, tier 1, or I guess I should be looking at the colors because we're at our blue technology tier right now because of artisanal reskins making everything look pretty and the same. I should have known that. So I guess it could use a filtering furnace or a not, but filtering furnace would be better because I think if we don't do that, it might have some issues, but speeds and just takes the one. So that cooks that, and then that comes from there. We'll worry about those other resources later, and we need to get some methane in there, which probably would be available here. We might be using some of it for this setup. Oh yeah, and actually it has a surplus of it, it seems like. So we could just have a priority where the methane gets sucked out of here first. Depending on numbers, I guess. 15 really isn't that much, so we've gotten this far without any significant oil or gas producing setup. So if we have to actually make one, so be it. At this point, it's not that big a deal. Okay, we'll worry about the other resources a little later. Let's back it out here now, because now we need to make the second thing. I'm going to keep saying it. Water-cooled, overclocked neural computer case. And it just looks like a circuit board. Speed it up. Sadness. Needs 2 machines. Interesting, it makes sulfur. Okay, no complaints. Then the protective enclosure. That's a lot of naphtha. Alright. So we're probably going to have to make naphtha for this. And we also need to make these chemical plants, which are just made from some random stuff that I'm sure we have available here. It would be annoying to send the basic circuit boards, but oh well. So that's the big stuff. So, now all the little things. So that's exactly 1 there. Sometimes it's kind of risky though, because you don't know how it's rounded. So let's hit that to make it below 1. Productivities. Coil chopper. Okay, and steel. Looks like steel's being chopped. So we don't have to do that. Plastic, boards, gas. So that's all there. Delivering gold. That's quite a bit of gold. We are not going to be able to keep up with this in the beginning, but later we will. So lead and tin. Those are being chopped. So there's that. Sulfur dioxide gas. Well, because this thing makes its own sulfur, we should probably calculate that and see if this is actually sulfur neutral. And it looks like it's still sulfur positive, but at least we don't have to send the sulfur down here. And that'll be some oxygen, which I actually think this setup is oxygen positive, because it's hooked up like this and it's empty. So yeah, this is a oxygen positive setup. So we'll have to see how it works. If it ends up using more oxygen than we can create, then we'll have to add it in there. Because this setup is going to get a little weird now, because in the future we're not necessarily using every single science pack, so it doesn't actually have to be balanced to necessarily run every single thing. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear and see what happens. That big one is the naphtha, but I kind of don't want to calculate that yet, because that sounds kind of scary, what's going to go into that. So we need some of these, and of course, gonna have productivities in all of this. Or at least where we do. It's interesting you can have productivity for gear wheels, but you can't have it for pipes. Strange. But oh well. And chop up the plates. Then we'll need these basic circuit boards, but I don't think that's the kind of thing that would ever go on a train. Although it is on a train. Interesting, I wonder where it's being sent to. Well, I guess we could just check the main bus. That's probably it. Yeah, because it goes into some very low tier items. So, we can order that. So no big deal. So check those. Seems fine. We'll have to send the sulfur out, but I think we can just drone that. We don't have to send a train or anything. The bioprocessors. Yeah, it's fine, fine. Alright. So looking at the master list here. Looks pretty clean. All the numbers are, again, surprisingly small. Although we do have these wires here, which we do want to just remove from the list. Not that it's very difficult. But we want to hit it. Even though we're kind of doing the same thing over and over, just to get it out of here. Because it's not really worth bussing wire, even if it's the rubber wire, so... Wow, requires slightly more than 1 with the productivities. Oh, well. But the big thing here is the naphtha. Otherwise, all those numbers are fairly reasonable. It is a bit of gold, which we can't keep up with in the beginning, but it's fine. So, how are we going to make naphtha here? Let's see. Let's look at our setup now. Is it naphtha positive? No. Let's see. These are both balanced, but we kind of need to see what's being sent out to get an idea. Okay, so fuel oil is being sent in, it appears. So we can kind of look to see what's happening here, that these are the requesters and these are the suppliers. So it is requesting the fuel oil, which to me tells me that it is fuel oil negative and it is neutral with naphtha. So naphtha is the controlling element. So if we generated more naphtha with this, then perhaps it wouldn't be fuel oil negative anymore. So that's possible. But let's look at some other ways, just in case we wanted to have a backup method. How could we do it? And we've probably basically unlocked all of the ways. Coal cracking requires a bunch of stuff and gets a bunch of stuff. We don't really want to do that because that would be so many byproducts that we don't want to deal with right here. And same with the gas stuff. And the cracking of the oils. These are all kind of too much work because these are all things we would have to send all over the place. But perhaps it might be worth doing the synthesis, because if we did that, the gas could be made from residual gas, and then that residual gas could come from oil residuals themselves, and we have a great deal of those. So this actually might be an interesting way of handling this. And it would be a 1-to-1-to-1 thing. We would just need to get carbon monoxide in here, but that's super easy to make, and steam and all of that. So, that would work. Okay. Well, we have an idea for what we want to do. But before we get to that, we need to figure out what are we going to do with this bus. But that's going to have to wait till the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.